Okay, madam. Continue.
Okay. So, good morning to everybody. And today we are going to have a session. Yeah. So, good morning to everybody. Today we are going to start the session on positive psychology. And we have already had certain idea and basics regarding positive psychology. Now we will have a overall view of what exactly positive psychology, and then we will go into the details of the positive psychology. Is it audible to you all? Is it audible?
Yes, it is audible.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
I will continue that. So before starting that, let us understand the basic overall view of what exactly positive psychology is and what are you going to study in this paper. We had a last session, we had an introduction about what positive psychology is. What is the total picture of this positive psychology? Let us understand. In the first instance, we studied there are the main objective of positive psychology is to emphasize happiness and well-being. So in this area, there are two streams were developed. First stream is by Seligman, who focused only on happiness and well-being. The second stream by Wong, he focused happiness and well-being with reference to pain, suffering, and sorrow. So these are the two streams which were developed on positive psychology. This you have understood. And Seligman is the first person, then it is called as the positive 1, and the second one is positive 2. And after that, we'll have a lot of discussion about what are the differences and what are the Indian psychology and what is its relationship, research and all the things. Later on, it is focused on strength. The positive psychology, the basic concepts of positive psychology, I am giving you an overall view. First thing is, every human being is having strength. This is the first assumption. And if you focus on your strength instead of repairing your weaknesses, so that you can grow towards happiness and well-being. This is the first assumption. Focusing more on your strengths. For that, they developed a scale to identify our strengths and focusing on that. The second aspect is, for human well-being and happiness, there are two types of things which are required. There are interpersonal skills as well as intrapersonal things which are required to be happy for happiness and well-being. So the interpersonal things which were focused by positive psychologists is the growth mindset is the, it is the intrapersonal, not interpersonal, intrapersonal states, intrapersonal things which are required towards positiveness and happiness, positive happiness and well-being. Or the intrapersonal is, one is the growth mindset is important to go towards happiness and well-being. Second, they focused on grit and determinants. Grit is the, all of you might be know, you can call for some persons as gritty persons. They don't leave anything in between. If you start an activity, they will complete in spite of any difficulties. Those persons are called as grit persons. Grit is a strong determination. So grit is an intrapersonal strength. Grit you have to develop. Growth mindset, grit, self-compassion, and self-forgiveness. These four make us to improve to our journey towards happiness and well-being. These four intrapersonal things: growth mindset, grit and determination, self-compassion. Compassion is not always towards others. We should have compassion towards us also, towards ourselves. And the forgiveness, whatever if you did something wrong, you have to learn to forgive yourself. Forgiveness is also another area where you have to, these are the which all drive you towards happiness and well-being. And the interpersonal, this is intrapersonal, individual has to develop. What are the intrapersonal skills which you strength? Intrapersonal things which drives you towards growth happiness and well-being are forgiveness, kindness, compassion, empathy, and gratitude. These are being given by positive psychologists for developing, going towards happiness and well-being. These were given in the first four chapters. All these things were given. Identifying your strengths and knowing the intrapersonal states which are required for happiness and well-being, and interpersonal skills which are required to go towards happiness and well-being. So this is one part of that. Coming to the second part of that, the second block, which is focused on positive emotional states, which are important for driving us towards happiness and well-being. Positive emotional states. This is the second block, under which they have focused more on happiness. Positive emotional state, which focuses towards happiness and well-being. The next aspect of that is the cognitive states, which focuses towards happiness and well-being. What are the cognitive states? They have given four cognitive states: self-system, resilience, hope and optimism, flow and mindfulness. These are the four aspects which are required for developing emotional states towards, again, happiness and well-being. These are the four important states. So on the whole, we had an information developing our strengths, developing our intrapersonal and interpersonal strengths towards well-being and happiness, and developing positive emotional states towards happiness, and also developing cognitive states towards happiness. So after this is the entire picture of positive psychology, what we are studying. And again, at the end, what you are focusing is how these can be used in the school system. How these positive psychology concepts, which we are mentioning, can be used at what place. These are the, and how these positive things are to be focused on family relationships, love, family and relationships, schooling, family relationships, workplace. And finally, they have given about yoga and meditation, which are being the, we can call them, these are the Indian system of happiness and um, happiness and well-being. These are the two important concepts which were given by Indian psychologists for happiness and well-being. So this is a total picture of the paper which we are going to have. And in the first instance, we covered about this uh, scales, about the strengths and interpersonal strength and intrapersonal strength. Now we are going to the second block, which is focusing on positive effect and and emotions towards happiness and well-being. Don't forget that our goal is to have happiness and well-being. What are the positive effects and emotions, emotional states which are helpful to go towards happiness and well-being? So let us understand what is an emotion first, and we are going in detail now. Positive states towards happiness and well-being. Now you are telling what are emotions. So everybody knows that. I'm again repeating the concept of emotion. Emotion is a feeling towards some object or towards some individual or whatever it is. It is a feeling associated with biological changes and also behavioral changes. So three components are there. One is a feeling. This is towards something and it brings physiological changes. And physiological or biological, it means same one. Biological changes and brings a change in the behavior. So these three, these are the three components of emotions. And all of you know, we know all the emotions which human beings experience, feel, and we can divide them into two types: positive emotions and negative emotions. Positive emotions and negative emotions. So positive emotions, as all of us know, joy, love, affection, happiness, all these are the positive emotions. Negative emotions become across sadness, jealous, anger, fear, all this we can call them as negative emotions. Now, we are focusing on positive emotions. This is developing positive affect. AFFET. Effect means, it means the immediate physiological responses of the individual to the situation are called as effect. Immediate physiological responses. The bodily responses after for the feeling, the bodily responses, immediate physiological response to an individual, to the situation or to an object is called affect. Affect means biological changes. It includes the immediate biological changes. Now we have to think about positive affect and emotions. Here, there is a theory, broaden and build theory of positive emotions. He said positive emotions elicit more cognitive responses than biological responses, than physiological responses. So there we are having positive emotions and negative emotions. Whereas negative emotions produces more biological changes, whereas positive emotions produces more cognitive changes, more cognitive responses. And he said and it also produces, positive emotions produces more ideas and more actions, because this is a cognitive response that would produce creative ideas, creative actions, and they also help to build resources. Positive emotions build resources. When you are calm, peaceful, you can think creatively, it can build resources we can think about. And also positive emotions helps to undo the impact of negative emotions. It undo the impact of negative emotions. Means it reduces. If the positive emotions increases, then the negative emotions reduces. So it always tries to undo the impact of negative emotion. And positive emotions produces psychological well-being. How? So less involved, because of the less involvement of physiological changes, and it leads to increased immunity. It leads to cardiovascular health. It leads to it leads to balancing of blood pressure and digestion and etc. So all these are the positive effect of positive emotions. Then what are the psychological resources? It helps for effective coping and adaptive responses. It helps for coping and adaptive responses. When you are having positive emotions, it always helps for coping and adaptive responses. It increases positive outlook. When you are having positive emotions, our positive outlook also increases. And it is proactive in coping. It is proactive in coping. So these are the psychological aspects. Coming to the social resources, what will it do? So it it increases the sense of togetherness. When you are happy, when you are having positive emotion, you feel like meeting people. It increases sense of happiness, togetherness. Taken support from, hence we will take support from family, from friends, and from others. And it also helps to build your mental health and also mental muscle. Positive emotions helps to develop your mental muscle, not the physical muscle, mental muscle. So these are the main impacts of positive emotions. There is also, it reduces negative emotion. That is, it manages the positive emotions, also manages. In addition to developing all these things, it also manages the negative emotions effectively. So using positive emotions focuses adaptation. So it reduces negative emotions impact and it focuses on adaptation. So a positive emotions enhances our emotional intelligence. All of you know what is emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is the ability of the person, to to manage his emotions. Ability of the person to manage his emotions. It increases the ability to manage his emotions. And it also, these are the how it balances the negative emotions. If you develop positive emotions, it balances the negative emotions too. So there is some research shows that as we grow older, they tend to value more. So it says that when they are yes, anything? Hello? Hello?
No, madam, please continue.
Yes, yes, yes. So, so this is the impact of positive effect of emotions. So this positive effect of emotions, we understood that positive emotions enhances our physical health, cognitive health, emotional intelligence, and also it reduces the impact of negative emotions on the whole. Then, so sometimes we can use, it also helps to give emotional storytelling. That means that helps, that reduces our negative impact also, negative emotions. If you share your negative thing, then it reduces. That way, it helps to develop immunity, health, and all the things. Coming to the how do you develop this positive emotion? Next question is, we develop positive emotions during socialization process. During socialization process with our experiences, people develop positive emotions. And this is a natural process, but we have to take a special effort. You will conduct some of the programs in the schools, like CASCL programs, collaborative, academic, social, and emotional learning programs in schools. So the research evidence says these programs has an impact on developing positive emotions and practicing it and making it as a habit by the children. So this is a collaborative, academic, social, and emotional learning program. The other program which was also developed is the ruler techniques. The ruler techniques were also being identified as the best techniques to develop positive emotion, positive effect. The ruler, RULER, ruler means recognizing, understanding, labeling, experiencing, and regulating emotions. This is a program which also helps. Technique. This is a technique which an individual can use. Even in therapy, we use this. Ruler techniques. Recognizing the emotion, what emotion we are feeling, and understanding the emotion, level of, and what is the reasons, and understanding the emotion, and the level, and labeling it. Labeling is more important. Whether it is, we always say we are sad. Is it sadness or any other thing, aggression or anger or fear? We should be clear. We have to label it and expressing it. We have to express it and regulate your emotion. So these are the some of the techniques we use to develop positive emotions. Focusedly, you have to pay consciously. We have to develop positive emotions in children and present global world. So this is about the effect, second unit, which focuses on positive effect and emotions. Positive effect and emotions. So how the positive states of emotions helps towards happiness and well-being. And under this, they also studied about happiness as one of the emotion, positive happiness, the goal of positive psychology, happiness. What is the concept of happiness? As per Seligman. What is the concept of happiness as per Seligman? He has given happiness is having good life, having pleasant life, and having meaningful life. So three components he said to describe happiness. If you have a good life, Good life means because Seligman focused on your strengths and intrapersonal and interpersonal skills to develop. He says developing positive emotions make developing the strengths make good life. Developing your strengths, always develop your strengths. Developing strengths give you good life, and developing positive emotions gives you positive life, pleasant life. Developing strengths gives you good life. Developing positive emotions gives you pleasant life, and making your life means contributing to community gives you meaningful life. Contributing to community gives you meaningful life. Happiness is the totality of all the three. If you have all the three, if you have good life and you are developing your strengths, whatever strengths we are having, we are focusing on developing my strengths, and I want to pleasant life. I want to use more positive emotions. And thirdly, I want to contribute to community and make my life more meaningful. This gives you lot of happiness, to the happiness and contentment and satisfaction, and which produces positive emotion and well-being to the individual. This is the concept of Seligman. After that, he has produced a number of models. Happiness models were given by Seligman and others. Among the many models, 6 or 7 models are given by Rayan, one model. Different scientists has given different meanings. Among many keys has also given one model for how to develop happiness. All this, the key point is how to develop happiness. Among all the models, PERMA model is being used very widely and being found very effective. Hence, they used the PERMA model. Hence, I will tell you the basics of PERMA model. So, PERMA, P-E-R-M-A. So, this is the acronym of all the things. P stands for positive emotions. So, developing positive emotions, that means joy, love and affection, happiness, which gives you a pleasant life and which you will be towards happiness and well-being, which brings you well-being and happiness. So, this is the first thing. P stands for positive emotions. E stands for engaging yourself. You have to engage in a purposeful way. So engagement and involvement always gives you happiness and well-being. If you engage in any of the activity, that gives you happiness. Any activity which you like, that gives you happiness and well-being. R stands for good relationships. If you don't have good relationship, then think why the relationships are. Don't always think the other person has to change for developing good relations. No, you have to work yourself to develop good interpersonal relationship too. The basic things for developing relationships, basic thing is respecting others, because in the adult interaction, if you respect others, don't judge others, respecting, not judging and not criticizing others make us develop good interpersonal relationship. Of course, the communication plays a role. So with communication, you do not criticize or judge other person. If you criticize or judge, including your children, they will go away from you. So the adult relationships base is the respect. They are adults, and you have to remember that every individual has developed with his experiences, with his heredity, and with his environment, with his successes, failures. Many of the experiences are not same to any two persons. So they develop their ideas and all the things based on their experiences. And no individuals will have the same ideas and same ideology. Hence, you have to respect the ideas of other person. Then you should not criticize or judge the other person. And then automatically the relations will enhance. So this is about PER, P-E-R. P is positive emotions. E is for engaging, totally involving ourselves in some activity, whatever is that. Whether it is a music or whether it is a sport or whether it is a creative writing or whether it is a drawing or whatever is that. You have to engage yourself. And then relationships, you have to maintain the relationships. And most of the problems people experience are in relationships. So if you are able to manage your relationship, develop good interpersonal relationship, your life will be focused towards happiness and well-being. You are responsible for your happiness and well-being, not others. Then M stand for meaningful life. Meaningful life means, I told you that if you contribute something to others, to community, helping others, contributing to community, that all makes a purpose in our life. That makes life meaningful. The meaningfulness gives you a lot of, so if you help others, community or others, which gives you a lot of happiness to the person who helped the other person. Giver always gets the happiness, not the receiver. Think. Only the giver experiences happiness. The mother who gives so many things to children, happiness. Then coming to the A. A is achievements. Achievement is very, very important for happiness and well-being. So the PERMA model focuses, you will get sustainable long-term happiness and well-being by following this model of PERMA. That means positive emotions, developing positive emotions, engaging fully in the activities, and developing good relationships, and making your life meaningful by contributing it to others and community. And then achievements, you have to achieve something. A little bit of achievement motivates you and gives you a lot of happiness. So this is the model given by Seligman, and later on many psychologists has given different model. I'm not going to discuss about that, all that. The Keys also given one of the model. Emotional well-being, psychological well-being, and social well-being. All this brings happiness and well-being. Like that, many models were developed based on this positive for developing happiness. Of course, happiness is a individualistic inner feeling. Hence, everybody will have their own ways of developing happiness. But that should be positive, with positive emotions and with an appropriate way. For that, we are giving so many models. So, as we are thinking that happiness is a very important, one of the important aspect of life, as it is being identified by the people and the entire world as an important component of life, we all should try in our own way to develop happiness. And taking one of the models, you can take whatever model suits you. Okay, so this is about happiness, and there are many factors affects our happiness. That's why there is difference from individual to individual. The factors mainly the culture, the cultural procedures, socio-economic status of the individual, the marriage, work, gender. So there are number of factors which all parenting, family structure, all this plays a major role in the many factors in the environment, many factors in the individual are responsible for developing happiness. So we are the second unit of this is how positive states, positive effective states are driving us towards happiness and well-being. Under this, we discussed about the positive emotional state, that is happiness, and positive emotions, how they help for increasing our physical health, cognitive health, and helping our emotional health. And all this we had discussed about that. Under this, we studied happiness too and happiness models. So this is about the second unit, second block, what we discussed about. The third block, remember that your textbook or material, whatever is given to you, consists of number of supporting studies, research studies are there, case histories are there, examples are given by different people, so that it all tells that so many people are working and making it more scientific with their scientific research studies. So you, under this, you study one or two, but examination point of view, I'm telling you, you have to remember one or two research studies and mention, or case studies you can mention. Some of the experiences are also given in the textbook. Because of the lack of time, we are not discussing all the things that you should add while preparing for the examination. So I am giving you the outlines and the gist of everything, whatever is there in the textbook on positive psychology. Then coming to the third block. Third block is, the second block states about the emotional states which are driving towards happiness and well-being. Now the third block is regarding the cognitive states which are driving us towards happiness and well-being. Cognitive states. Cognition is our thinking, our perceptions, our learnings, our knowledge, how these are making us towards, how these cognitive states, what type of cognitive states that drive us towards happiness and well-being. So those we are going to discuss now. So what are the cognitive states which helps us to drive towards happiness and well-being? So the first state which was discussed here was the self-system. You know, is self is regarding oneself only. So there are various terms we use: self-concept, self-esteem, self-efficacy, self-confidence, but not many uses, many terms we use. What are its role in developing happiness and well-being? So don't forget, our goal is towards happiness and well-being. So what are these self-systems goal towards happiness and well-being? So let us say, what is a self? Self means, I can say that our physical features. So the self of an individual consists of their physical features, their traits, their qualities, their goals, their motives, etc. Everything related to one individual, related to himself or herself, is called self. So some social things, social traits which we are also having, also comes under self. So now self is a personal self or social self. When it is say that when you are talking about social interaction, that is my social self. Then I say that when I am talking with, I am having a family self. And so how do you develop how do yourself develop? How do you know about yourself? How do you know about all this self develops? Through our experiences and through others only. Our self develops through our own experiences and through others. If others say that you are having certain traits, then I feel that I am having this. See, others say I am having these physical traits. I understand myself through others. Understand myself through others. This is the concept of self. How do I develop myself? Means it is through others only. Otherwise, I don't know what I am. I should know myself only through others. Then coming to the one of the, so what is the main objective is, if you are having, so we are talking about three aspects: self-concept, self-esteem, and self-efficacy. These three things we are talking about now as self systems. The first system is self concept, means the concept about myself, what I am, what accepted and approved physical traits I am having, what type of psychological traits I am having, what I am. I will know, and by through others, I make a concept and an organized picture about myself. This organized picture about myself is called self concept. I organize all the things through others, whatever the others say, with my experiences and other, with the reflections of others, I know about myself, and I make it in an organized way, make a self concept. Suppose the self concept maybe I may develop an inferior self concept because of my experiences, or I may develop a superior self concept because of my interactions, or I may develop a realistic self concept. Always the realistic self concept and sometimes the superior self concept helps us towards happiness and well being. If you are having an inferior self concept, I feel that I am lacking this, I am lacking this, I am lacking this, I am having these negative things, then my inferior self concept always puts me down. The superior self concept sometimes, and realistic self concept, which enhances my emotion positiveness and towards, and which drives towards happiness and well-being. So this self concept is important, which is developed through our so always tries to always the realistic and the superior self concept is needed to grow towards. So you should not develop the inferior self concept, low self concept, inferior self concept. So if you think about your negative things, low aspects which are having, instead of focusing on your strength, that is the case of positive psychology. They are asking you to focus on your strengths, you instead of weaknesses. You focus on our weaknesses, you will have a weak and inferior self concept. If you focus on our strengths, you will have a good self concept. Hence, the self concept is one of the important self system which helps you to drive towards happiness. Cognitive state, self concept is a cognitive state which it drives towards happiness and well-being. Then coming to the self, real self and ideal self. So there is, everybody is having real self, means what he thinks about himself, what are the strengths, what are the assets he is having, what are the abilities he is having. All this organized structure of self concept is a real self. I think about myself in a realistic sense, and always every individual will have a ideal self. If the discrepancy between real self and ideal self is more, then it leads to conflicts. It reduces. If the discrepancy is lesser, with a growth mindset, you will try to achieve it, and happiness and well-being will become our goal. Will become our goal. This is about the real self and ideal self. Ideal self means what you want to become. Now I am here, and what I want to become is ideal self. What I am is my real self. Yes, this is about one of the other self systems. And the third self system is the self-esteem. Is it is the evaluation of oneself. I evaluate myself. I evaluate what I am. This is not the other's evaluation. I am evaluating myself regarding my capacities, abilities, assets, whatnot. Everything I am evaluating myself. So if I, regarding traits, qualities, economic, all whatever I am having, and it is the evaluation of oneself about his own value and worth. I'm evaluating my own value and my own worth. If I evaluate it as high, if I am having high self-esteem, evaluate it as high. Evaluating my values and worth as low is low self-esteem. Low self-esteem develop is responsible for many of the psychological disorders, whereas high self-esteem and realistic self-esteem leads us towards happiness and well-being. So you should have, that's what positive psychology says is, you should evaluate yourself focusing on your strengths and value it, and you think you are worthwhile with your strengths. Maybe having some of the weaknesses is part of life, part of any individual. So if you focus on your strengths, you will have high self-esteem. This is the positive psychologist's view. Then self-efficacy. Self-efficacy is the belief an individual is having on their own ability, of his own abilities. And towards my own abilities, I should believe my abilities. The belief I am having towards my abilities is self-efficacy. If I don't believe I am having abilities is not sufficient. Belief in my abilities only leads to happiness and well-being. Believing my abilities. If I am having abilities, but I am doubtful about my abilities and capacities, then I don't go forward. If I don't go forward, I don't get happiness or well-being. Hence, if I believe my abilities, I'll start doing and I go towards happiness and well-being. This is self-esteem, self-efficacy is believing our abilities. Then self-regulation. Self-regulation means regulating of our own thoughts, emotions and behaviors. Regulating my thoughts, emotions and behaviors to lead a positive life. Self-regulation. If I am having all the five, I will be driven towards happiness and well-being. What are the things? I should have a self-concept, positive self-concept about myself. A realistic, positive self-concept about myself, and the discrepancy between my real self and ideal self should be less, and I should have high self-esteem and self-efficacy and self-regulation. Then I will be driven towards happiness and well-being. So this is what is being given by cognitive state. Cognitive state means this is all in my thought. If I develop this cognitive state is through our thinking only. If I think the positive self-concept, if I think all this, high self-esteem, self-efficacy, self-regulation, all this, if I think cognitively, if I notice that, then it drives me towards happiness and well-being. Then coming to the next cognitive state, which was discussed here, is resilience. Resilience means so many adversities comes to us at individual level, family level, social level. Individual level, our health problems may be. Family level, financial problems are adverse conditions. Adverse means a troublesome condition. Social level, like corona, social level. Like that, adversity comes. It is a part of life in every individual faces adversities. But resiliency is when you experience adversity, coming back to normalcy as quickly as possible is called as resilience. After experiencing resilience, after experiencing an adverse condition, adversity, coming back to normalcy is called, the process of coming back to normalcy is called resilience. Some people used to come to normalcy quickly. So that leads to well-being and happiness. If you come back quickly, if you are having a resilience, resilience can be taught, can be trained. Training on resilience are being given. Now, this is the important thing. If you are resilient, the suicide, don't commit suicides, don't get mental disorders. If you try, always try, focus towards solution, not by negative emotions. You always try towards positive side and try to solve the problem. And then with to resilience is, it is crucial in adapting to challenges. It is very crucial to adapt to challenges and adverse conditions. Adverse conditions. So the lot of research was conducted on resilience, and the research showed resilience as a trait. Some people develop resilience as a trait. Trait means it is a enduring character in an individual. Resilience. Some people will have resilience as a process. Some people develop resilience as a skill, and also as an outcome of some adversity, they develop resilience. So, a lot of research is nowadays going on resilience. Hence, the condition, the people are experiencing more adverse condition. So, this is the responsibility to come out because of the social conditions and global conditions existing at present. There is a responsibility. You have to bring them back to normalcy. So, initially, research is conducted on individual. How to bring an individual to come back to normalcy after adverse conditions, after experiencing adverse conditions. This research is totally focused on individual resilience. Now, the research is a little bit extended, is focused on community resilience. There are certain communities which experience, in spite of many adverse conditions, they used to lead a happy life and they used to experience happiness and well-being. So this is resilience is a universal phenomena, and promotion initiates can contribute to personal and systematic resilience. So a lot of research is going on. Number of studies are given on resilience. How to develop resilience, whether it is a trait, whether it is a process, or whether it is an outcome of experience, what it is. So what it is, whatever it is coming back to normalcy after the adverse conditions. So if you are able to come back to normalcy, you can adapt well to the challenges of the world. If you adapt well to the challenges, it leads to happiness and well-being. It leads to happiness and well-being. That is the role of positive psychology again. Then these are these systems, self-systems, resilience. All these are, the end product of this is, we are all these drivers towards well-being and happiness. Then coming to the flow and mindfulness. These are another two cognitive states, flow and mindfulness. These are the states which also drive us towards uh, well-being and happiness. This flow, it is the state of the individual where a person is fully engaged or immersed in the activity they are doing. If you are totally engaged in an activity that we are doing, then it is called as an activity you are doing, complete absorption in the activity. So these people feel happy in that state of flow. That state is called as a flow state. A flow state means you are totally absorbed in that activity while you are painting, while you are doing a painting, while you are singing a song. Total absorption of the mind is involved, absorption of the mind involved in that particular work. It is called as a flow. So that's why the activities which give a flow experience will give lot of relaxation, like music, which needs lot of absorption of the individual. Similarly, all fine arts, they give us lot of pleasant experiences because totally we will involve in that activity. Unless we involve in that, you can't do that activity. Hence, this gives a flow experience. So complete absorption. People feel happy in that state of flow. So total concentration and enjoyment, great interest for the activity is the experience. Great activity, interest and activity which is developed and which is the experience, the individual experiences. So what are the benefits of that? It is internally rewarding. Internally it is rewarding. If I sing a song very well, to my satisfaction, it is internally rewarding. Similarly, if I create a poetry or what is that language, create some book, if I write a book, if I do some activity that is with my full involvement, it is internally rewarding. And it also gives, it gives a uh, lot of benefits, a lot of effects to the creative. This flow state is important. It is beneficial in creative fields, sports, workplace, whatnot, everything. It is very, very, very important. Flow is important. People wants to have at workplace too. If you are totally involved in that work, you will become creative. You will get new ideas, and that is beneficial. Internally, you will get satisfaction, whereas that is also beneficial at the workplace. Hence, there are flow is such a cognitive state which gives you happiness and which drives you towards pleasure and happiness. So, number of assessment scales for flow to measure how much flow you are having. The flow state assessment scales are there so that the work related flow state, there is a scale which measures about your work related wolf, it is called as work related flow state, how much you are having. So this is the test which is being administered by companies to while taking for employment, for taking for employment. So if you are having the flow state, you can do extremely well. So the other thing which was given was the mindfulness is the other aspect which is also given as a cognitive state, mindfulness. So you understand, if you are having a flow state, flow cognitive state, you will be driven towards pleasure and happiness. Okay. If you are having what I can say, that positive self systems, you go towards well-being and happiness. If you are having a resilience as a trait, then you go for happiness and pleasure. If you are having flow state, flow cognitive state, also you will go. You will enjoy the happiness and well-being. Then coming to the mindfulness. What is mindfulness? That the concept of mindfulness is has become very popular nowadays because of the multitasking what we are doing. We are not at all focusing on any of the activities. If you don't focus and if you don't put your mind in doing so many things, is creating lot of stress. At the same time, we are losing the quality of work too. Hence, mindfulness is, we are not at all even eating mindfully. We are, our eating are being coupled with some other work. We don't want to waste time for eating. So this is a condition which is occurring, which is happening globally for that. So that's mindfulness. If you are mindful, it leads to pleasure and happiness. What is mindfulness? It is a consciousness state that comes through paying attention on purpose in the present moment and non-judgmentally. These are the important things. You should be attentive to the work, whatever you are doing, attentive and present moment to the flow experience, moment by moment, is called as mindfulness. It is, of course, both are interrelated, flow and mindfulness. The mindfulness, what you do is, you will be in the present moment and you are non-judgmental. You are where in here we, and it goes from moment to moment. We are continuously going from moment to moment without judging and being in the present moment. This conscious state is called as mindful state. So there are a lot of research is also going, mindful experiences. You might be knowing that about this mindfulness. The Indian, I think some of the Indian people has conducted research on this mindfulness and the benefits of this mindfulness, and they presented it in Western countries, and they are also accepted all these researchers, and they are also now focusing on mindfulness. Mindfulness is our Indian system. This is Indian culture. We inculcated this as one of the our ancient paths of life. So what are the benefits of this? So the research showed that if you are mindfulness brings about biological changes in brain. Biological changes in brain occurs because of mindfulness. One thing. Then proved by MRI. MRI proved that when you are mindful, biological changes occurs. And there are personal psychological changes will occur because of mindfulness. And also your well-being, physical health, increased cognitive functioning, and your emotional well-being, and your social well-being, and your psychological health also improves because of mindfulness. If you focus, you pay attention and do the work, you don't feel stressful. If you are shifting from one item to another thing, it creates stress. If you are focusing on one thing and moving towards that, it won't create stress. So being in the present moment, whatever you are doing, you have to focus. I don't say that multitasking is bad, multitasking, but when you are doing multitasking, there are certain activities. This is what is that? It's called as automatic attention you will make. Like we are making automatic attention on eating. We are not at all focusing on that. Conscious attention you are making on other activities. So the benefits of eating are being reduced. So whatever work you do with full consciousness, full mindfulness, that has all these benefits. If you don't do it with mindfulness, it has the benefits are reduced. You don't get the optimum benefits which are required, which are expected. So there are, how do you develop mindfulness? Many interventions were developed to many interventions were used to develop mindfulness. So if you want to be mindful, many of the interventions, the one intervention is MBSR, mindfulness. So mindfulness is being used as a therapeutic tool. At present, mindfulness is being used as a therapeutic tool. Mindfulness based stress reduction. If you are stressful, the mindfulness is used as an intervention to reduce your stress. Similarly, when you are having a cognitive therapy, mindfulness is used as an intervention for in all cognitive therapies. In cognitive therapies, we are using mindfulness as a tool. And similarly, some behavioristic therapies too, dialectic behavioristic therapy, where mindfulness is used as a tool. as an intervention program, and ACT, what is that? Acceptance and commitment therapy, which has become very popular nowadays. Acceptance and commitment therapy. Even in that, we are using meditation, mindfulness as a tool. So all these areas, we are using mindfulness as a tool, So these are the important things we should understand while doing the yes. So while doing this, so this is one more thing is left, I think, in block 3, that is the concept of cognitive state, the cognitive state of hope and optimism. How cognitive state of hope and optimism leads to how the cognitive state of hope and optimism leads to psychological well-being and happiness. So we have covered, again I am repeating, what are the cognitive states which are driving us towards happiness and pleasure? Are the first is self-system, self-concept, self-esteem, self-efficacy, and the resilience leading us towards pleasure and happiness. And third thing is about the flow and mindfulness. Of course, they are interrelated. The flow and mindfulness also leading to psychological well-being and pleasure. Coming to the another cognitive concepts of hope and optimism. These are the two concepts. These two are also interrelated, like flow and mindfulness. How they are leading us towards happiness and well-being. Let us take hope is a process of, there is a mild difference between hope and optimism. Optimism is a thought process. It's only thought process, thinking that future will be better, future will be good, I will have a good future, happy future. I'm thinking about the future as happy. Is optimistic thinking. It is only thinking. I'm not doing anything. Because I am optimistic, I am thinking optimistically, I am able to, whatever adversity comes, I will come out of that, and I think that there is a good future. But too much optimism is not accepted. But optimism is our thought process that is needed. Optimism is needed. Optimistic people, they used to work, they used to think, they don't work. They think that future will be better. I will be in a better position. If that thought itself drives them towards happiness. So, whatever good things happen, they notice, and then they feel that optimism, they develop optimism by looking at good things happening. And they do not blame themselves when they go wrong. They are optimistic. It is because it is happened, let it happen. I think the future will be better. I failed here, but the future will be better. So this is, they don't blame themselves, but they look for the future, better of the future. And when something good happens, they used to give credit to that. Something good happens, they take the credit and they look forward for the better situations. So they also think, optimistic people also think the setbacks are temporary and they are going to get a better future. So these are the thoughts of optimistic people. These are only the thoughts. Even if they fail, they feel that they don't, good things are going to happen in future, and they will take the temporary setbacks, and temporary setbacks they don't take into consideration, and they think that future will be better. So this thought process is called as optimism, because the thought is responsible for our actions. With this optimistic thought, they hope. Hope is another thing. Hope is a process. Hope is a process of setting goals and following through It is setting goals and following through is hope. Hope is action oriented, whereas optimism is only thought oriented. So positive thought pattern. Optimism is a positive thought pattern, whereas hope is a action oriented process which sets goal and following through the goals, action plans to reach the goals. So hope helps people better cope with difficult situations. If I am hopeful, in spite of the failure, I set my goals and I work to reach my goals. So it helps people better to cope with adverse situations. Then people with hope do not just wish for something. They do not wish it. They work for that. The people with hope work for that to happen. So hope has three components basically. It is a willpower is there, the ability to set goals. The persons with hope have a willpower, an ability to set goals, and way power, the process, finding the ways to meet the goal. Willpower, way power to make the processes to reach the goal, and follow through means the flexibility and to see the goal through. They're also having the flexibility to reach the goals. So this is in optimistic. So optimism is expecting a perfect outcome in every situation, and it is a way of thinking about life. It is a way of thinking about life. You will come across with people that are very optimistic. They are very optimistic, but they don't work anything. They just things. Things will work out reasonably well. That is their idea. So even during troubles, life is good. And there is almost always a way to get the job done. And life can be improved through effort. And both optimism and hope are complementary things. If you are optimistic in your thought, you develop hope and do something to reach that. So the optimism without hope, but they are complementary. Both will go together because we will need hope as well as optimistic frame of mind. Optimistic frame of mind towards uh, driving us towards happiness and pleasure. Always think this is our goal, happiness and well-being. So hope and optimism drive us towards well-being and happiness in a difficult situations, adverse situations. Also, these are the two cognitive states. So now we had 5 cognitive states we studied. Self systems, a positive cognitive state, because this is positive psychology. A positive cognitive state which drives us towards pleasure and happiness, resilience, a positive state, cognitive state again, and mindfulness, flow in mindfulness, again a positive state towards pleasure and happiness, and hope and optimism. These two are also cognitive states which drives us towards happiness and well-being. So these are the emotional states. So we covered about the effect, positive effect of emotions, positive effect states and emotions, cognitive states which drives towards emotions, towards pleasure and well-being. So we studied about 5 things: strengths, in own strengths, internal and intrapersonal strengths. Strength is one area. Positive effects and emotions are one. Emotional states are one area. Second area. Third area is cognitive states. In all these are driving us, focusing us towards well-being, even in optimism and flow also. There, for all these things, there are number of assessment scales are being developed through research. How much hope scale is there? Optimism, how much optimistic you are there. Optimism scale are there. Mindfulness to measure mindfulness, to measure your flow. For all this resilience, for all these tests are being developed to measure, assess these things. And all these concepts are being developed with experimentation, taking case studies, or taking research, uh, and experimental methods too are being used, and sometimes experiences are also being taken to develop these things. So after this, we are coming to the block 4. Block 4 is on positive schooling. So in everybody's life, there are 3 things which are important: school, family, workplace. If you are thinking of having all the 3 areas positive, then you will achieve happiness and flow. How to make these 3 positive, more positive? So this is where making with positive psychology's goal is to make these 3 systems more positive. How do you make a positive schooling? So positive schooling, the schooling should be positive. Why they focused on schooling? Because school is the basic place where people learn the base, because the schooling starts when they are very young. Basic, the concepts, life concepts, attitudes, and our majority of your, what I told you, all the emotional cognitive states and emotional states develop during the process of schooling. They develop happiness, positive effect, and self systems, all these develop during the school days. During school days, then if we are having positive schooling, that helps you to develop all this. So what is a positive schooling? So in any school, the basic things which what we know is physical infrastructure dimension. That should be, the student should have a comfortable, so the comfortable physical dimensions like toilets, water, comfortable, airing, space for rooms, play area. All these are the physical dimension for positive schooling. The psychological dimension and the socio-cultural dimension. So these 3 are important. Psychological means a caring, trusting, respecting, and respect for diversity. In any school, there are diverse people will be there, different from different cultures, from different socio-economic strata, from different backgrounds. So hence, we should have a respect the diversity. We should learn to respect the diversity. Then everybody in the school will feel comfortable. So in positive schooling, you have to take care of the physical surroundings, provide them the basic things, and you have to develop the psychological dimension through caring the children, respecting the children. As you know, now this is a positive schooling, there is no punishment. We are developing their positive traits through positive disciplining, and also through developing positive traits, positive emotions, like helping others, like gratitude, expressing gratitude, hope, optimism. All these traits are being developed psychological, through cognition. Cognitive states are being developed in schools. The goal is it contributes to community. You develop all the positive psychological traits among the students, it contributes to society. So for that, the school, they developed uh, so many models in schooling. They developed some of the models, and especially they used the PERMA model in the developing many positive programs to develop helping others, altruism. All these are being introduced in schools to develop positive mindset. And many other programs are being given in schools. Nowadays, the schools are looking for, so the positive psychologists, they are trying to give a program. They are giving many programs to develop positive traits among the children. Instead of developing negative things, if you enhance the positive traits, automatically the negative traits will. So instead of the cooperation and the community service, community contribution, helping others, caring others, all these are being used when in the schools itself to reduce the to make the school more positive. So this is about positive schooling. Here also many psychologists, many positive psychologists are doing research and developing programs to introduce in schools to have a positive, where the flow should be there, mindfulness should be there, all this to be developed in a school atmosphere, an integrated development of the child. They are giving many models, and in the textbook they are given some of the models too. Then coming to the positive parenting. This is when it comes to positive parenting is also very important. Using positive psychology principles and techniques in child rearing practices. What is positive parenting means? Using the positive psychology principles. What are the principles of positive psychology? Happiness and well-being is the goal. For that, you have to introduce all these: gratitude, forgiveness, compassion, kindness, self-compassion. All this to be introduced in child rearing practices. And so you should also introduce mindfulness. Mindfulness. So it includes here what the parent has to do is non-judgmental acceptance of the child and self. This is important. The parent should accept the child. As you know, in many of the psychologists says there are three important things for the development of in parenting. One is affection. They grow. The child rearing grow. The child grows with love, affection and love. These are very important. Acceptance is important, and also achievement is important. If these three are provided to a child in the child rearing practices, the child will go in a positive way. So non-judgmental acceptance of the child and self means, non-judgmental means without judging their abilities, physical appearance, or without judging their conditions, you have to accept the child as it is. This is important. Similarly, you have to accept yourself also. Unless you accept yourself, you can't accept the child. So, providing awareness to the parents of the importance of acceptance and child rearing. Then, second important principle which was given by positive psychologists is listening with full attention. You have to listen the child. Listen the child with full attention and understand the child. This is important. Listening doesn't mean passive listening. Listening and understanding the child is more important. What exactly he wants. Listening and understanding the child. Then emotional awareness of the child as well as the self. Why I am shouting? I should understand my emotional state too. So, emotional awareness of child by the child described. You have to understand the emotional awareness means understanding the reason for the emotion, emotional awareness of child as well as self. Sometimes even with our emotional condition, we used to shout or do some negative acts towards the child. Hence, you should be able to aware your emotional state and also the emotional state of the child. So, this is another important principle, and most important thing is self-regulation. The parent should have self-regulation in parenting relationships. You should have self-regulation. What comes in your mind, you are not supposed to say. You should have a self-regulation in parenting relationships with the child. You should have some self-regulation, especially when the child is in the late childhood stage, adolescent stage, and adult stage. Self-regulation is very, very important. Then compassion for self and the child. Compassion for the child and the self. These are the basic principles of positive parenting. Why we should use all these parenting skills? Because parenting has become a challenge for nowadays for all the parents. They wanted to inculcate discipline most and they are not able to do that because of the existing social conditions. So there is a need for parenting, need for uh, awareing the parents regarding the parenting skills. And here the positive psychologists are more focusing on positive parenting. Means understanding yourself, understanding the child, listening and understanding the child's condition, and accepting the child, showing love and positive emotions towards the child. And that is be compassionate to yourself as well as to the child. Self-compassion is also one of the important skill which should be needed. You should be compassionate with yourself. You should forgive yourself. Whatever, if you did anything wrong, you have to forgive. Self forgiveness is also very, very important. So, compassion and kindness towards others. So, people used to say when the others are having problems, you will go to them and say, "Don't worry about that." Say so many things. So, you use the same thing to yourself. Self compassion. So don't be harsh to yourself. Be compassionate to yourself too. So these are the things which we use in positive parenting. Positive parenting. So we are developing the child with a positive emotion and being firm by using the family principles also. We are developing the child with positive effect. So in that we will inculcate in parenting itself, we will inculcate all the traits which were given by positive psychologists, cognitive states as well as the positive emotional states. All this to be introduced in your parenting process. Parenting process. Then comes to the application of positive psychology principles to relationships, family, relationships and family. Yes, there is a how do relationships develop? This is one. Is it audible now? Yes,
Yes,
audible.
madam. Yes, madam.
Is it audible?
Yes, madam. Yes.
Yes, it's not to me.
Yes, ma'am, it is
Your
audible.
voice is not audible. Okay. So coming to the last part of that is given how you have to apply these positive psychology principles. So you remember the principles given by positive psychologists. This is the most important thing. You have to put it in your mind. So how you have to apply this to relationships? How do the relationships develop? There are relationship develops only when you care other persons. When you care, when you trust, when you care the relationships, when you care, when you think about their needs, when you are caring, the relationship develops. When you are having a interdependence, both of them are dependent on each other, the relationship develops. The child, when the child is very young, the child is dependent on the mother. Then the relationship is more between mother and the child. As the child grows, he becomes independent. Gradually, the relationship reduces. Here, interdependence is important for developing relationships. And what the relationships need is a trust. Trust is important. Trust, knowledge. They should not hide anything. Knowledge about each other is important. Trust, knowledge, care, and being interdependent, you should be independent. You should be independence, commitment, and intimacy. These are the main inputs, principles which are needed for developing good relationships. Intimacy is commitment, intimacy, interdependence, and independence, care, knowledge, trust. These are the some of the important things which are needed for developing relationship. So there are a number of models were given in your textbook on what is love, how the love, the models which tells you what exactly love is, and in any type of love, love is important for intimate relationships in the family. So love is the basic input. What is love? So for that, Sternberg's model and other models are given, where the three things are very important. Intimacy is important for love, and passion, and also commitment. You unconditional commitment. Unconditional commitment. Commitment, passion, and intimacy. These three are important for loving relationships. So this is Sternberg model has given, and you will have different types of love we will come across, and how do you develop, increase the understand adults attachments? How do adults attachments takes place? So the very important is adults attachments is also very important in developing good family relationship. Attachment is also important. How do you develop? One is love. First thing I gave you the principles of relationship. Then the role of love in a family relationship. And third, we are talking about adult attachments. Third thing is about adult attachments in the family. How do adult attachments will be? So maintaining proximity. If you are with the person, more the proximity, that means if you are nearer to the person, the attachment increases. Usually the attachments will be between the persons who are very near to each other. Proximity means physical distance. That's important. And then feeling safe with the person. When I feel safe with the person, my attachment with them continues, develops, and uh, and resting for security to the person. Resting, resting on him for security. So here is a person who will take care of me. I'm having a security, feeling security to the person. If the other person is giving security, then the attachment increases. Then if the individual feels anxiety in the absence of that person, that means there is attachment. So these are the parameters of attachment. So here, what is that attachment? One is proximity of the individual is very important. Whenever you are close, your attachment increases. And feeling safe with the person, and also return and resting on him for security, on him or her for security. and feeling anxiety in their absence. The child feels anxiety, then the attachment with the child and mother is more. So, what are the positives? Then these are the general way. How you have to apply the positive psychology principles for developing close relationship in the family. So you have to, the very first thing is you have to identify and use the strengths of the family members, strengths of the family, each family member, and respect them. This is first positive psychology principle what we are using. Identify the strengths. Everybody is having certain strength in the family. Recognize the strength and base, take that strength as a base for developing relationship and attachment. And then build a social relationship house. This is the building of a relationship house. How you have to relate yourself. How you have to relate yourself. That should be given. Relationship house you have to build. That is given one after another in your textbook. And you have to, emotional bondage is important. Emotional bandage. That is emotional bank. You have to emotionally, you should attach with each other. So how do you be emotional attachment? If you are mindful on the needs of other person. This is a very simple activity. If you focus yourself on the needs of the other person, automatically your needs will be fulfilled. This is the first important simple aspect you should understand. Focus on the needs of other person. Whether it is a child, it is a spouse, or whatever is that in the family relation, if you focus on the needs of the other person, automatically the emotional bondage will be more and the relationship will be increased. Positive relationship will increase. Then you also talk about the stressors of different people. If you talk and so understanding the problem, you have to understand the problems of other person and the physical gestures and affection and instilling hope. So these are all the positive concept. Instilling hope is a positive psychology concept. Identifying the strength is a positive psychology concept. Understanding the emotional state is a positive psychology concept. Cognitive strength, what they are asking is instilling hope is a cognitive state strength given by positive psychologist. So you have to understand. So all the cognitive psychology concepts to be used in the positive psychology concepts to be used in family to develop the relationships and also to have relationship and attachments in the family. So this is so happiness in positive psychology in family context. What is the happiness mean? Having a good child and parent relationship. And what do you do to develop this? You have to capitalize a positive event, sometimes rituals, family rituals, sometimes virtues, identifying the virtues. All this helps you in the family context. You have to promote all this to have good relationships and positive things in the concept of positive psychology. So here, this is about the family, how you have to develop by introducing positive psychology concepts in the family to enhance your relationships, to enhance your family attachments. So then coming to the concept of aging also, there is a number of theories were developed on successful aging, like active life theory, and there are there are number of theories developed on successful aging, because the aging people are increasing and many of the countries are becoming aged countries at present. The aging principles are many successful aging theories were developed. So in this context, what we do is we will take one, what is the positive psychology role in developing positive psychology role in application? What is the application of this? So, family context, developing child and parent relationships, capitalizing a positive event, doing some family rituals, and catch the virtues of the family members. All these positive activities leads to developing a positive relationship in the family. So then in aging also, a productive aging, accepting the death, positive emotions, active lifestyle, all these are being given by positive psychologists for better mental health. So this is all about positive psychology in the family, and briefly I will tell you about the positive psychology at workplace. At the positive psychology at workplace, here most important things which are given by positive psychologists which should be introduced at workplace is self-efficacy. Psychological capital is important, means where you have to develop self-efficacy, hope and optimism in the workplace conditions. And the flow is important, that means absorption and motivation, work related motivation is important, and employee engagement, flow and meaningful work and well-being at workplace. So these are the interventions at workplace. Many interventions were also developed to develop optimism, hope, flow and mindfulness of the worker, and also making the work employee to understand all these are the psychological concepts, to understand the importance of many interventions were introduced by positive psychologists at workplace to make them a flow behavior. A flow should be introduced in employees so that they will work towards happiness and well-being. That workplace happiness they will have. So with this, the last thing what we are going to is black white. What is positive psychology intervention? So what are the interventions means? Activities developed. Just like psychology, positive psychology also developed certain interventions. There are stress management interventions by other psychology groups. Similarly, positive psychology also introduced stress management and trauma management, stress and traumatic situations management, positive psychology interventions. Like, like what are the interventions? Stress. What is stress? It is the evaluation of the individual. It is the evaluation of the individual about an external event as dangerous or as threatening, makes the individual react at physical level, at a psychological level, and at behavioral level. The entire process is called as a stress. So stress is only the evaluation of the individual. If you don't evaluate as threatening, you don't experience stress. Because of the evaluation as individual as dangerous and stress threatening, then that's why the individual is feeling stress. So what do you do in positive psychology for the stress management? So there are a number of things were being developed. What is stress? How it develops? There are a number of concepts are there. I'm not going to details of those concepts, but this is stress is the individual evaluation of the external event as dangerous or threatening, which only the entire process. Hence, the body reacts, the psychological reacts, psych reacts, and social and in social area also it reacts, and in all these areas the experiences are being reflected. The entire process is called as stress. So hence, yes, so hence what you have to do is um, so in the physical level you have to do relaxation, yoga and mindfulness, and the cognitive process you have to do express gratitude and coping, and effective process you should use emotional intelligence, positive visualization and all the thing. At behavioral level socialization is used to reduce our stress, and even post traumatic sense what is given by resilience to be included. So the main ideas of and there and yoga, lot of description about yoga is also being given here. Patanjali yoga principles and the meditation principles of Indian psychology are given in detail. What are the types of yogas which we are practicing? What is the main content of Patanjali yoga are given. And the last unit focused on the present current trends and research in positive psychology. This I want to tell you one important thing. There are two streams of development of positive psychology. One is by Seligman, focusing emphasizes on only happiness and well-being. The second stream by Wong is on happiness and suppose, of course, emphasis on happiness and well-being in relevance to suffering, pain, and sorrow. So, at present, the research is going on in the second line, that is on taking into consideration about pain, sorrow, and suffering. We are conducting positive psychology. Research is going in this area at present, and lot of areas are being touched upon. All the areas of psychology are touched upon to introduce and intervene positive psychology principles. So with this, I think I can conclude this is the positive psychology. All through you have to remember is the inputs of positive psychology. The strengths, the positive emotional states and the cognitive states, and how these principles are used in school, family, and workplace, and the importance of yoga and meditation, which are being given by Indian psychologists, and what is the present status of research in positive psychology. This is the entire thing. Who had certain idea regarding this, what positive psychology is, how it is working. The focus is on happiness and well-being. So, thank you very much for. So it is about to. So this is the conclusion of positive psychology. What? Yes.
So, any response from the students?
Sir, this is Dr. Chiranjeevi, sir, MPCE second year. First of all, thank you very much,
Not
Madam and Sir,
audible
both
to
of
me.
you, for your valuable time. And I'm very grateful, sir, because we had a
Not
chance
audible
to.
for me. I don't know.
Just a moment, madam.
Is it audible to you, sir?
Am I audible, madam, now?
Yes, now.
Yeah. First of all, thank you very much, sir and madam, for your valuable time. Most of us actually have a comprehensive idea now about subject. Paper 11 and 46 also now. So we can go through the material and have a good understanding. I felt very happy to attend the same, and thank you very much once again, madam and sir, for your valuable time. Hopefully, we'll do well in the exam. Thank you, madam. Thank you.
It's not audible to me, sir.
మనకి వినపడుతుంది మేడం. నా వాయిస్ వినపడుతుందా?
Huh?
నా వాయిస్ వినపడుతుందా?
మీ వాయిస్ వినిపిస్తుంది.
ఓకే, ఏదన్నా ప్రాబ్లం ఉందేమో. ఆ అబ్బాయి మీ వాల్యుబుల్ టైం బాగా మాకు స్పెండ్ చేసి బాగా చెప్పారు అని చెప్తున్నాడు.
ఓకే. థ్యాంక్ యూ వెరీ మచ్. థ్యాంక్ యూ, సార్. థ్యాంక్ యూ.
ఇంకా ఎనీ అదర్ స్టూడెంట్స్? అంటే మిగతా వాళ్ళు ఎవరు వినలేదా? Amy?
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank
Thank you
you,
so
ma'am.
much for your
Thank you,
valuable
thank
time.
you.
Ma'am, thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Okay, and we have practical class on 13th. So please inform to other students also. Attendance is compulsory for the practical component. And anyhow, we are conducting clinical psychology 3 sessions. I think already one more session is there, 31st, face-to-face mode. And counseling psychology already we have conducted online mode. So second year total classes are completed. Only pending is a practical component, and all the students are requested to submit their assignment and internship reports, and including record 30th of April is the last date. Already we received the dates. So this is the information. 30th April is the last date to submit all the records. Assignment, project, internship, and practical record.
Okay.
So anyhow, after completion of the practical class, you will have time to complete your record nearly 15 days. There is no problem at all. So finish off your task on time and complete your program on time. All the best.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.